a prison surrounded by dense jungle, where 250 prisoners, among them 76, had devised a plan to escape through the ground that no one would ever think of. Hello and welcome to Movie Recaps. They will all escape together. Then why did they make 3 long tunnels with different names? How did they get the tools to make those tunnels? In almost all the movies about prison escapes, we see that everyone escapes safely in the end. But that did not happen in this real event. IMDb rated 8.2, a breathtaking true story. Movie Recaps presents The Great Escape. The movie begins in 1942, a place in Germany where World War II was going on. A lot of trucks bring 250 prisoners to a camp in a place in Germany. The camp was under the command of Colonel von Luger. It is revealed that these 250 people were soldiers of the Allied forces. Now, who are the Allied forces? During World War II, Britain, America, Soviet Union, and China all joined together to form a group or a force, which was called the Allied forces. So these 250 people were soldiers of the Allied forces who were captured by Hitler. They're taken out of the trucks one by one and taken inside, where the Nazi army sees them. One of them is Captain Ramsey. Captain Ramsey was the leader of the 250 soldiers who were captured. Von Luger warns Captain Ramsey, "Listen carefully. This camp is my area." Before this, some tried to escape twice, some 4 times, some 5 times, some 17 times, but they could not. Every time they tried to escape, they were caught by the Gestapo. Now, who are the Gestapo? The Gestapo were a special army of Hitler during World War II, who would disguise themselves and lurk here and there, and their job was to catch and kill people, meaning those who would speak against Hitler, they would be eliminated from the world. He also says, "You are their captain. Stop all this, or everyone will have to die here." You are surrounded by German soldiers all the time. At night, the soldiers will patrol around the camp. There are also some watchtowers in the camp, meaning high places made for keeping an eye on you, from where you will be watched all the time. So if anyone dreams of escaping from here, I will catch them right away. In response to this threat, the captain just says, "You do your job, we will do ours." The inside of the camp is seen. There were quite a few separate rooms. There were small rooms inside the house and mattresses inside the room. There was also a cupboard for keeping things. There was a bathroom, a kitchen, a library for studying, and a place for their entertainment. Besides all these things, the prisoners could also do farming inside the camp to keep themselves busy. As soon as they arrived there, many prisoners of the Allied forces looked around the camp very carefully, because no matter how much they were kept under surveillance, they would still try to escape. As they were looking at everything, they suddenly noticed that the camp was newly built, so some Russian prisoners were brought from another place to cut trees. And since 250 prisoners of the Allied forces were brought to the camp, so the Russians were taken out of the camp again. Seeing this, Danny and Willie, these two, made a plan. Some of their team members would pretend to have a fake quarrel among themselves, so that all the Nazi soldiers would look at them. And in this opportunity, they would try to escape from there again. So according to the plan, the quarrel was started. And when the Nazi soldiers were busy stopping the quarrel, Danny and Sedgwick, these two, mixed with the crowd of Russian prisoners, so that they could also leave this place with the Russian prisoners. On the other hand, it is seen that the trees were cut by the Russian prisoners, and they were loaded in small trucks and taken away. So Ives, Willie, and some others went to the truck and covered themselves with branches and tried to get out of there, because everyone would not be able to get out of here together. So they tried to escape separately. Some got on the truck, and some mixed with the Russians. But von Luger was a very clever man. He knew very well that the Allied prisoners would take the opportunity even if they got an inch. So he ordered the Nazi army to check the truck full of branches and the Russian prisoners carefully. And then one by one, Danny, Sedgwick, Ives, Willie, and whoever tried to escape like this, they were all caught. But in the meantime, Hiltz, this guy, found a place that was between 2 watchtowers, and this place was such a place that no army could see this place from those 2 watchtowers. Is that really so? Then let's test it. Hiltz took a metal ball and went to the wire fence and threw the ball. And avoiding the eyes of the soldiers in the watchtower, Hiltz dropped the wire and went to the fence. But at that time, a Nazi soldier came from the opposite side and saw Hiltz and targeted him, and the soldiers in the tower started shooting. Von Luger came there and arrived, and as a punishment, he sent Hiltz and Ives to the cooler. Now what is the cooler? The cooler is a dark place like a jail cell inside the camp, where the prisoners are sent for a few days if they do anything wrong. Then the movie shows that another prisoner named Bartlett was brought to the camp with handcuffs. It is known that Bartlett had tried to escape from the Germans many times before, but unfortunately he was caught every time. But this time Bartlett was told to be kept in the cooler for as long as the war did not end. But von Luger was a kind-hearted man. He knew how to respect another soldier. So he did not keep Bartlett in the cooler, but kept him with the other prisoners. And this was one of von Lucher's mistakes. Bartlett is seen entering the camp and meeting Captain Ramsey, and from their conversation it is learned there is an organization called Dex Organization among the prisoners, where they all make various escape plans and arrangements. From their conversation it is learned that here some of the prisoners have formed a secret organization, whose job is to make various master plans on how to escape from here, and the name of this group is X Organization. Bartlett is accepted as the leader of this group. That night a meeting is called on how they will escape from here. Bartlett said that all the escape plans that have been made so far were against the Germans. But now we are going to do something different. First, we have to do what the Germans want us to do. They want us to stay quietly in the camp and do farming. We will do that so that they do not doubt us. Within the camp, time flowed steadily. After gaining the trust of the authorities, a daring plan began to take shape. Our objective: freedom. We would construct 3 secret tunnels. Each tunnel had a designated starting point within the camp. Tunnel 1 would begin its journey eastward, carrying our dreams on its path. Meanwhile, Tunnel 2, ready to play its part, would burrow northward. Finally, Tunnel 3, entrusted with a critical easterly route, would commence its ditch. Now the question is, why were these 3 places chosen for the tunnels in such a large camp? Because from these places of the camp, a straight tunnel will open a little away from a jungle, and it will be convenient to escape to the jungle after getting out of those tunnels. But the question is, why 3 tunnels? There were 3 tunnels because if the Nazi army finds any one of them, they will have 2 more tunnels to get out, and the Nazi army will be calm for a few days thinking that they have caught their escape plan. And in this opportunity, the rest of the 2 tunnels will be used to escape from here, because no one will think that anyone can make 3 tunnels where there is a pressure of digging 1 tunnel. But the brain was not only used here. This was just the beginning. The way the tunnels were dug was really amazing. Bartlett wanted to take 250 people out of here. But even if they got out of here, the danger would not leave them behind, because the whole city was surrounded by Hitler's Nazi army and the Gestapo, and everyone's identity card was being checked. So before leaving here, they needed some clothes that would be different from the prison clothes. They needed a fake identity card for each one like ordinary people. Among these 250 prisoners, those who worked in the army department. Suppose someone was in the medical department of the army. Someone was in the mechanic department. Someone was digging. So there are different types of departments in the army. They were given responsibilities according to their work, because it was a big plan. One was given the responsibility of making fake identity cards. Danny and Willie were given the responsibility of making the tunnel, and since the tunnel had to go through a lot of soil, so he had to take care of the oxygen inside it. This man named Sedgwick. Henley was seen to be good at stealing, so he would arrange all the necessary things for this mission by avoiding the eyes of the Nazi army, which would be used to dig the tunnel. And Henley would have the convenience of stealing. So Nimmo and Haynes would make various troubles and quarrels to keep the Nazi army busy on the other side. Dennis was given the responsibility of making a map of what was in which direction of the camp, and to collect other information. They only have these prisoners' uniforms as clothes. Griffith, who cuts and dyes the uniform codes to make different clothes, takes the burden of making clothes that the Gestapo will not recognize as prisoners' clothes when they get out of the camp. MacDonald is responsible for keeping an eye on everyone on the enemy side, so that the Nazi army can be aware of what they are doing or not doing inside the camp. So everyone starts preparing to make tunnels, clothes, and fake documents according to Bartlett's plan. For making their machinery to dig the tunnels, they need iron and other things, which Henley gets with the help of Nimmo and Haynes by distracting the Nazi army, and they start digging the tunnel. Now when they go to break the cement-made table, there will be noise, and the army will find out that something is going on. So this man named Cavendish sings loudly with some other prisoners. And when they were digging the tunnel, they sang along with the noise, so that the outside army would not hear the sound of digging the tunnel. And even if the German army hears any kind of sound of digging the tunnel, they do something for that. Some prisoners hammer iron nails in the rhythm of the sound of digging the tunnel, and as a result, the Nazi army does not find out what is happening inside the house.